Should be live. Hmm.
It's in?
I don't know. I don't see it appearing over here yet.
I think we're good. Yeah, it says 20 seconds now. It looks like it's been recording for 26 seconds, it says, and counting. I think we're good.
I got to get
Have
the.
you done a live stream from this app before?
Not with my channel, but we've done it with another channel, and it works really well if you know what you're doing. I guess. Yeah, it's working.
It's good?
Yeah.
All right,
So
go ahead and give the people an intro of yourself, and then I'll give an intro of myself, and then we'll go from there.
okay. Okay. So we're live. All right. 20 plus trucking invited Mr. By the Mile, which is he's an ABF union worker that drives truck, and him and I have been talking for a while, and we decided, hey, maybe we should do a live. And I don't know why my video is going on and off, but hopefully you'll be able to keep seeing me. Anyway, we thought we'd do a
You're
live.
clear on my side.
I mean, we're pretty much on two different sides of the fence. I mean, we both have great jobs, and he's coming from the union side. I'm coming from a non-union, and I don't know. I think there's a lot to learn here. So this is Mr. By the Mile. Actually, his name's Andrew, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Thanks, Don. It's good to jump on live on here, and getting to become your friend over the past couple few weeks has been awesome. We both know how you and I became friends.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I'm an ABF Freight line haul Teamster driver. I've been here for 2 years. My dad is a retired Teamster driver. He's been retired since he was 52. He's now 70 years old, been collecting a pension.
nice.
And what was really interesting with Don is getting to know how his usual week goes at Walmart. Sounds like not only are you super experienced, but you're able to work a schedule that you have in a way that a lot of other drivers who are inexperienced, they're not able to make money doing the same schedule that you run. I thought that was pretty cool. And that goes to prove that it's not about, sometimes it's not all about what a company is paying, but how you're able to work the system at the same time. Now, I'm still always going to stand by, you know, union contracts that hold companies accountable,
Right.
but Walmart has been working out really good for Don, and he only work 5 days a week, Don,
I work 5 days on, and then I work 5 days off.
and you still make 100K.
Yeah, and it's funny because I actually made an entire video explaining exactly how I pulled this off, and it's not easy. I mean, you're working 50% of the time, so I mean, it takes a trick or two. And I almost posted it yesterday, and then I got a phone call from one of our Sacramento drivers, and we had a discussion. He wants to go on this 5-5, and after talking to him, I realized, okay, I got to redo the video completely because, I know that I make it sound really easy, but I got to thinking about it, and yeah, it has everything to do with experiences, everything to do with knowing the system. It's still a great position, but I've been at my job 17 years, and you know, there's quite a few steps that I got to do to make that happen. Which, the schedule's 5 on, 5 off, but in the summer going into December, I work kind of full time. But through January through May, yeah, I'm working 5 on, 5 off. I'm just enjoying life. And so,
Outstanding.
yeah,
Now, Don, would you agree with a certain truck driver who says there's no money in trucking?
well,
Is
I think,
trucking a dying industry, Don?
yeah, well, my people that are on the channel, looks like we got 8 of them so far. I think they know who you're talking about, because I had mentioned in a video that of this certain YouTuber that was basically downing drivers. Well, he was downing the industry mostly, and he was downing you. And that kind of got under my skin. It kind of irritated me because I got a hell of a thing going on, and then I met you in the process of all this, and realized you got a hell of a thing going on too. And I don't know. There's just something about wrong information going on the internet that just bothers me. So I found it,
Exactly.
I found it my mission to try to educate people like, no, this is not a dying industry. This is not, this is a great thing. It's just a matter of how, what your outlook is on it, you know?
It's especially not a dying industry because, I mean, when you look at the CEO side of it, you know, for example, look at Yellow. And this individual got mad when I mentioned Yellow because supposedly I was beating around the bush, but Yellow brought down itself and then Redaway and Roadway along with it. You know, there was no reason for, they got into a lot of debt. They got too big too fast.
Right.
And when you do that, you have to borrow money. I don't care, you know, if it's a whether it's a mega carrier or a smaller company like ABF Freight, you
Right.
know, they're going to be taking out some type of a loan. And depending on which company you acquire, it's going to determine how big of a loan you take out. They were irresponsible with their money, but yet they are still capitalizing months after uh, throwing the company away.
Right.
Here they are selling equipment, selling land, continuing to make money. And are any of those employees going to see that money? No. Did those employees lose their pensions? No. That's another um, misunderstanding and misinformation that gets spread around is those employees that were already vested will still be able to collect their pensions. They're still going to get whatever they have coming per month at their retirement age.
Right.
And it's just really sad because when I was on this certain individual's um, on his YouTube before I had called him out for spreading false information, it what made me mad is there were kids 21, 22 years old that were commenting saying thank you for this information. I'm not going to get my CDL anymore. It's like, number one, you would like to think that them seeing this person drive a truck and saying that trucking is a dying industry in and of itself is enough to say, okay, this guy's not credible.
Well, I
But
would think the proof would be that, you know, here's somebody, I don't know if he had any college or not, but I mean, basically a high school graduate, and immediately he's making, yeah, he's not making 100,000. He was making whatever he was making. I would have to assume 60,000 or something like that.
yes,
Um,
that sounds right.
well, where are you going to go to do that with a high school education? You know, so I mean that's a pretty good start, being that these companies like CR England, Swift, and this kind of thing. I've said it before. These are like the McDonald's and the Taco Bell of trucking. That's entry level. It's only meant to get some experience, and then after that, you know, you move on. And this individual you're talking about, he just stayed for a long time, and
I
Walmart
know.
didn't.
4
Walmart
years
didn't want him.
later,
Yeah, Walmart didn't want him because he had something that went on there. And yeah, these people that are listening, they're getting misled. Like, oh well, this is all there is, you know, and it's just not true.
100%, bro. 100%. I couldn't agree more. And it's like, that's why I had to make those videos. And now I'm starting to get an influx of messages, guys asking me, hey, are you going to have a rebuttal to this dude's video saying that that you're frauding workman's comp and all this crap? And it's like, I already said what I needed to say. He made himself look like a fool on his own live stream where 100%, I mean, you were there, Don, 100% of the chat was on my side with it. And here I am. I'm
Cringy,
probably going to need
very
another,
cringy.
and now I'm going to need I might even need another surgery on my shoulder. Oh, I must be really faking it. Yeah.
Well, you know what I found interesting about all that is that you're union and I'm non-union. They still treat it the same. I mean, if you get hurt, even, you know, a possibility of something severe, or maybe it's not severe, they don't play around with that. No company does because they don't want to get sued. They want to make sure that you're able to work and not get hurt more. And if you go on like uh, oh, what you're on there, the state thing there, yeah, they're fully going to check you out and make sure that you're good. And
Yeah.
a lot of these guys didn't understand that. They were like, "Oh, you'll be fine. You just go back to work." And I was like, "No, I only one time have I ever had to go on something like that, and it was a very short amount of time, and it was because I had hurt my shoulder, but I didn't do permanent damage, but I couldn't move my arm for like 2 weeks, and Yeah, they were very touchy about that. They were like, "Oh no, you're not working or doing anything until we figure out what's wrong." And I kind of appreciated
No,
that.
usually they're great. Yeah,
Yeah,
usually they're great. It's when you it's I found through experience of other people have had in non-union is when it goes beyond 5 6 months, they have this thing, like, for example, it's actually, I don't want to be specific on who it is,
right.
but a family member that works for the Southern California Gas Company. They were off for a year and a half. They needed surgery on a certain part of their body,
Yeah,
and they didn't have a spot to come back to. And SoCal Gas Company had done hiring and said they didn't have room for her. I think it was for 4 months she sat and waited.
right.
And that's when things, take a longer amount of time for injuries to resolve, I think it is.
Yeah,
As far as, and I've talked to maybe a handful of people, maybe 3 or 4 people that have the same thing to say. Another one was from a trucking company, and I was talking to him a few months, well, more than a few months back. I was still working at the time. But I met him while I was over I was doing a drop in Arizona. I can't remember if it was in Mojave Valley or in Arizona or in Mojave Valley, Arizona, or Phoenix, Arizona. But he had a similar experience with one of these mega carriers. I think it was, I don't know, Western Express, or I don't know, something like that. It was
right.
something like that. But they had a similar experience when it came to their injury, and it was, I think, an Achilles tendon, and it took him almost 2 years to recover. But the company didn't have any room for him to come back to. He had to wait about the same amount of time as this female individual I'm telling you about.
Right.
So that sucks. But I mean, that's another topic for discussion, is how expensive healthcare is nowadays. I mean, I don't want them working for to spend so much and already get the pension, good pay. We're at $30.18 an hour. They
Right.
basically worked in $10.50 over the next 5 years. That's the raise that we got. I went from $26.68 an hour and 67 cents a mile
Mm,
to $30.18 an hour and 75 cents a mile. So by the end of the contract, we'll be at about 35, maybe a little more than 35 an hour,
mm.
and 80 or 81 cents a mile. It depends on if the cost of living goes up. This is where I'm talking about these contracts is we try to think of everything that we can. And we tell the union, hey, dude, things have been crazy with this economy. So let's cost of living.
Uh-oh, you're starting to get broke up on me there. Maybe move back to wherever you were standing.
Oh shit. Hear me. How am I coming through?
And it's starting to come in better now. Well, and I totally understand. And I'm not anti-union, but I mean,
Oh fuck.
you guys are, you got all your medical paid. I mean, that's not that big of a deal to me, but I know I've met a lot of people where that's a huge deal. That means everything to them to have all their medical paid like that.
Especially when it comes to having a lot of kids.
Oh yeah. That's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, these kids can be really expensive. And it's like, that's not the biggest part about the union, though.
Mhm.
For me, it's just the contract, just ensuring that we have a strong contract that is 100% for the laborers, because the contract at least ensures job security and representation. And then at least we can promise ourselves, 5 years of a good contract till we negotiate the next one.
Well, it's
And
like
it's
insurance,
always going to be a
right?
fight for workers.
Right. It's like insurance for the
Yeah.
next 5 years.
And it's always going to be, whether you're union or non-union, this is always going to be a fight for pay increases, for, you know,
Right.
all this stuff. Just for myself, no disrespect to anybody who's non-union, but that, especially with having kids, especially with the way the economy is, with automation, um, the protection is pretty solid. Although I gotta say, with this whole UPS thing going down, there was about 200 employees, they said, that are going to get laid off, Teamsters,
Right.
due to automation. And that kind of raised my eyebrows because we have protection against that when it comes to automation. I think their contract might be different.
Yeah.
I'm going to look into it a little bit more, but there were a crap ton of managers, non-Teamsters, for those that are not familiar with what I'm talking about, but they're not Teamsters. They were the first to go. And I think these other 200, will they be lost forever? I don't think so. They'll be back maybe a few months. They'll be laid off to a month.
Right.
But I don't have a crystal ball. And at the same time, depending on what language is in their contract for getting replaced by automation, um, I just don't understand how that's happening, you know? Because if
Well, you know what? For us
that
non
means it must not be in the contract.
right. Well, for us non-union people, you got to imagine how it looks to us because we watch. I don't know if anybody was paying attention, but I was. UPS had like their biggest negotiation, like in the history of UPS, and their best raise and all this stuff. And then it wasn't very long after that that all this took place. You know, where they got, they had these layoffs and had these issues, and it was like, oh, so it always costs something, doesn't it?
I think what it is everybody's geared more towards the money rather than looking at the whole of the language,
Right.
because there could be a lot of little things that the company throws in there. And it's a lot harder these days when everything costs more.
Mm.
And this is why I think they are purposely doing this, to try and do away with the union, but only the people have a say. That's why I get so disappointed when people are like, "Oh, the union's not worth it." It's like, dude, the union is for the people, by the people, has always been, and we can't waver. We can't allow them raising prices and all this other stuff. I mean, it's hard. Yeah, I understand, but
Yeah.
it's better to miss out on money for a few months than to lose everything forever. But there's just not enough people anymore that are willing to fight like that.
Right.
I mean, I would be in danger of losing my house probably if I had to go on a 3-month strike, but
Right.
at least I would secure something for the future for my kids, that to have a good solid career, to go into work and get the same benefits I did. And just, I would hope that more people jump on board and understand what it is I'm trying to convey. Cause like you said, like, yeah, seeing that is like, what the hell?
Right. Well,
But they also publicize
right.
more downfalls when it comes to the Teamsters rather than any other company that exists out there. They really harp on it, and they always try to demonize us when we're about to go on strike. And it's really sad to see the American people um, bash us and talk down to us and tell us that, oh, you're already making enough. And it's like I always say, because people don't have it, then nobody can have it. If they don't have it, that's kind of how they are.
Right.
Um, and that's sad. It's just hopefully that we can start changing people's mentality one person at a time. And I'll do it until the day I die.
Well, and it's interesting you say that because, when I first came to Walmart, I mean, most of the people had been there for years and years and they loved the job. Like everything that came with the job, not just the money. And so we didn't hire people for a long time after I got hired. It was quite a few years. And then they started hiring a lot more people. And what you were saying, we're trying to convey the message, whether it's union or non-union, if you got a great job where they treat you well, you know yeah, you gotta fight for some of this stuff. I mean, that maybe step you're losing, or just different benefits. Well, started hiring a lot of people, and I noticed that the talk of, well, how much do I get paid, that was like the main focus, like the main thing. And it was like, well, don't overlook all this other stuff, like how you get treated, all the different schedules, your benefits and things like that. I won't say that people didn't care about that, but most people base it really hard on how much money you're going to make. And I noticed that when may have lost some things over the years, well, we have lost some things, that people didn't really want to stand up for it. Well, the older drivers would get angry and say, "You guys won't stand up for anything. You're gonna be like just any other trucking company if you don't stand up for it." And it's funny because we kind of had this thing over pay where we got a raise a few years ago. And in some parts of the country, some people got a higher raise, like I did living out here in California, because of the cost of living. And then in other states, they got like a lot less. And man, you should have seen it at that point. I mean, everybody started standing up and fighting for it. And they got some of it resolved, but not all of it. And my thought was, you got to look at the whole job. I see the benefits that I can have a schedule like I have. When I first came to truck driving, there was no hope for that. So I value that really highly. I mean, I make way more money than I ever did before I came to Walmart. And yeah, you got to get the message out that fight for your job, like everything about your job, not just the money you're making.
Exactly. And it was funny to me because there's actually a company that I'm in the process of assisting and organizing right now.
Hmm.
Um, I'm in contact with a lot of these drivers and dock workers on a text thread, and this company recently gave their people a raise of $1.50 where they haven't seen a raise. A guy I know there, it's been working there for 4 years, got his first raise of $1.50,
Oh,
and
wow.
the funny part is I predicted all of it. I said they're going to give you a raise. They're going to do pizza parties. They're going to give you barbecues. They're going to set posters up on the wall about how, why you don't need the union, and everything came true. And thank God for that prediction. It looks like we're going to get unionized.
Wow.
Yeah. These companies, they don't want to be, it's all about the contract. They don't want to be bound to a contract.
Right.
And with everything you've been explaining, I got a lot of respect because I think a lot of you Walmart drivers, you know exactly what you're worth. A lot of the guys that I see in those trucks that I've spoken to on the road,
Yeah.
smart dudes. Anybody that's got a solid career out here is usually a pretty smart guy. And
Well, a
you're
lot of
gonna
our
make sure you
drivers.
read all their language.
Oh yeah, no, a lot of our drivers, it's like once I get to know them, pretty quickly I realize, they're a sharp person. They know what's going on, and I like
These
that.
youngsters, it's
I'm
these
proud of that.
youngsters.
Right. Well, even the young drivers, I kind of had a thing where the younger drivers, I thought, oh, well, that's a waste. They're all going to be the same. And I ended up running with these guys out of our Reno yard one winter. And I realized, no, you get a job here, even the young people, they got a lot of pride in what they're doing. And I realized I was pretty wrong about them because I kind of had that outlook like, oh, well, they're probably not going to be that great or whatever. So if
It's
anybody has
it's more
questions,
common to have a solid mentality among the older guys
yeah,
than the younger, because yeah, there's a lot of smart youngsters too. Like for example, this kid that I was just telling you about that I have on the inside of the company I'm organizing,
right,
he's always been a real smart kid. He's 20, 26, 27.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of smart youngsters, but there's a lot of ones that only look for money and don't ask any other questions.
yeah. No, those are the ones I don't really like to see get hired.
Yeah.
So, I was asking if anybody wants to ask questions or anything. Go ahead. I see somebody made a comment here in the comments. Says Swift hauls most of Walmart freight now. Bring back Jimmy Hoffa.
That's right. I wish.
Well, and that
Senior, not
there.
junior. Senior, not junior.
Well, there is some details with that. I mean, that has been the case a lot in the past. Like a lot of our freight was hauled by outside carriers, not just Swift. And a lot of our grocery DCs have all been ran by outside carriers, Swift, CR England, and such as that. But that's one of the reasons why we've been hiring like crazy the last few years because Walmart already told us early on before they started all this, they said we want to take back control of our freight. I mean, we're a private fleet. We haul our own stuff, and they wanted to do that with the groceries, and that's what they've been doing. We've taken a lot of these outside carriers and we replaced them with Walmart drivers. I just had a guy on last week where he's doing the team driving, where he drives across the United States hauling Walmart freight. That's something we've never done way back in the past. And so I'm not saying that we're fully going to do that, but I mean, that's Walmart taking a step forward, saying, no, we want to control our own freight and our own drivers. We don't need all these outside carriers. Because believe it or not, it actually costs them more in the long run, which is
Yes.
crazy. It's
Yes.
crazy, you know?
And then when you look on our side of the coin, they would rather use these purchase transportations, but we have language in our contract that says they can't use purchase transportation with our members laid off.
Right. Right.
But
Well,
that just goes to show you they would rather pay a purchase transportation than one Teamster.
Well, for us, we've had meetings like our safety meetings and things like that, or our training sessions, and they have literally broke it down on an overhead screen and said, look, this is what it costs to have a carrier come out. And then they don't just get one person, they have like a bunch of people from a carrier that come in, like 20 or 30, like at our yard, and then they'll help out and they'll say, we have to pay the carrier this much, the driver gets paid this much, you know. Um, and by the time they got done like lining all that out, I was like, wow, that is crazy because the drivers don't get much. Like Swift, yeah, they don't get nothing compared to what the carrier's getting.
Right. Yeah, they're getting ripped off.
Big time.
When I
Yeah.
started at night, I was only making 37 cents a mile.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's not good.
Dealt with that for 4 months. And then I left to JB Hunt, where I was there for 9 months.
Yeah.
And I had a good experience at JB Hunt, but I was just paying a crap ton for my medical. I was paying $300 a week.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a lot. And that's just for you and your wife?
No, that I don't have a wife. She's my girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
It, but she's practically.
Hmm.
We've been together for 9 years, and
Oh man, you need to tie the knot, man.
for me and my kids, though, yeah, tying a knot,
Just my
untying the
opinion.
knot's always a difficult one.
Well, you know, it's funny you mentioned that about JB Hunt because I know I saw a big discussion online about the driver facing cameras and all the abuses that supposedly the company was doing against the drivers. And then I saw you had a video out earlier this week about driver facing cameras.
I got no problem with driver-facing cameras. What I do have a problem with is companies taking advantage of it to use it as a ace up the sleeve
Right,
for when they want to get rid of you. So having it, like I said, having that contract in place as a defense mechanism is always crucial to having a successful career at whatever company it is you may be at. Now, if you're a piece of crap and you're doing stuff you're not supposed to be doing,
right.
let it be told on camera. I think a piece of crap is a piece of crap and should be dealt with accordingly.
Right, right. Well, you know, when we first came out, they brought this whole camera thing in and they said, oh, it's just a pilot program. We're just testing it out in like one DC to see how it all goes. Well, when we found out that they were driver facing cameras, oh, yeah, everybody threw a major fit. Like literally, we were like, nope, we're all going to quit. and
What they should have said is, let's get a contract in here, because I mean, I
well, no,
think
they before they even came out, they said, "Don't worry, we've disabled them, so we've never had driver facing camera."
sure, and then it blinks red.
Right. Well, yeah, and we all cover them. We take like a sticker and put it over the thing, you know.
Don, Don,
Huh.
they got me. Look, they got me on camera. Look.
Oh my god. Right. Uh, so what do we got here? Worked for many union companies, but they don't treat their drivers well. I'm here at Walmart for 4 years. I feel I'm my own boss. They treat us very well. So
I
I
feel
mean,
the same way about ABF Freight, especially being able to sit there, being over the road in a day cab, go to a hotel,
yeah,
and just get paid. I mean, I've been paid 38 hours a few times, I mean, I get mad money on dude running. I It's not going to be the same anymore. They're sending all the drivers home after the first lay.
yeah,
Now, But I wish that every driver could experience what it was like, what it used to be like at Yellow, what it used to be like here at ABF Freight.
Right.
That is the way a driver needs to be treated. Do you know how awesome it was rolling in through to the terminal in Sacramento? Do a proper post trip, get paid for my time, whether it's an hour or whatever it might be. Get things handled for the next driver. Take your time. Get the Uber or take a tractor back to the hotel. Sit at the Mexican restaurant that they have, eat, call dispatch. Hey, I'm getting into the hotel right now. I'm going to bed, start my 10 hours from this time. Hang up the phone, finish eating, go to sleep. You get called 10 hours to 8 hours later. It all depends. Some guys complain, oh, they're already calling me. Like, bro, you got to know how to do it. Leave yourself time to get things done. Don't, charge them for it. Be honest about what it is you're doing, and everything's going to be fine. You need to stop and eat, then start your time from when you've got to go to bed. It's like just take your time. We have a very serious job. You got to be on top of your game. And then you get the call. You got 2 hours to get to the yard. You get to the yard, you get paid for your time there. You hop in the truck and you go wherever the hell you're going to next.
Right.
Throw chains, you get paid an hour and a half to put chains on, and I think an hour to take them off, or 45 minutes to take them off.
Right.
And it's just, you just take your time. Like, you are never, I have never rushed at ABF Freight the way I rushed at JB Hunt, Melton Truck Lines, and Night Transportation. And that a new
Oh yeah.
driver should not be going through stuff like that.
Right. No, I bet.
So
I'm sure you're right.
to all the viewers, I'm telling you, these union trucking companies, wow, unparalleled. Just like a
Well,
blowout on the side of the road, you're going to get paid $30 an hour for it. It's just like, and then you're getting all the benefits on top, the pension,
right.
I could go on and on about stories that I've had over the road. But I know you guys get paid, right? For
Well, yeah.
breakdowns and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
they make it a point to make sure we get paid for everything we do, and like everything you're saying, you're basically describing us. I mean, they don't want us rushing. I mean, they don't want us to be, super slow neither, but they don't want us rushing. They don't want accidents. They want you to give yourself enough time because we're the ones that decide by putting in our time where we're gonna, how much time we're gonna have when we get to where we're at in ETD and estimated time of departure. And, um, it's up to you. If you're rushing, then that's your fault because you're putting in too tight of an ETD. And they're not going to argue with that. They want you to give yourself time to eat, do whatever you need to do. And if we put chains on, we get paid for that. We get like $60 to put chains on.
Wow.
They give us $42 a night for layover. If we break down immediately, they want us to hit the on the computer in the truck, so we can start getting paid immediately. They don't want anybody doing work and not getting paid. That's a huge no-no. I think there's even been lawsuits and stuff in the past, especially out here in California, and they just don't want any part of that. They want to make sure you get paid for every minute you're doing something. And I think it's really fair. I mean, I feel like I'm getting compensated
Yeah, that's good.
good. Yeah.
That's why Walmart is so darn good. Hang on a second, Don, just real quick.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still I'm still doing this live stream. Don't scream, please. All right, here, I got you something. Here's the bag. Oh shit, I can't lift with that arm. Here, take those drinks. I'll be done in a little while.
I got my kids playing with mama in the house, so I'm good.
That's good. Yeah, I have them over here at the local rocks. There's this really nice actually, here, I'll show you real quick.
Yeah. So this is
That's
up
what
in
what's
Apple Valley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Apple Valley, California. It's beautiful up here. Um
Have you seen our
but yeah,
DC up there? Or
what's that?
have you seen our DC there in Apple Valley?
Yeah, it's right here, right down the road.
I'm sure it is. Yeah. Dale Evans
Yep.
Parkway. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, there's a what street is it called? Well, you said Dale Evans, but it's up here over by where I live.
Yeah.
I forget the name. I think it's Ranchero Road,
Yeah.
or is it Rock Springs Road? Yeah, Rock Springs Road.
Yeah.
There's what do you call it? Just like a dirt yard where there's a bunch of trailers, and I see a bunch of Walmart trailers there,
Oh, really?
like stacked.
Huh? No telling. I don't know. I've never been there. It could be a
Yeah,
junkyard or something.
it's on the complete opposite side. It's like maybe I want to say like maybe 10 miles. What would it be? Southeast of your DC.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. I don't know. I don't. I used to run down there all the time, and now I hardly ever go down there. Maybe once a year. They pretty much run me up into like Hermiston, Oregon, up into Washington, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Why are you laughing?
Oh, are they beating on the doors? I hear something.
No, one of them is climbing on the top of the car. My son Gio, he's a really wild kid. But it's not about the live stream. They're just wild kids.
So,
But yeah,
so now we got someone that says no invite to Augustine Ramos. LOL.
hey shit, he can come on if he wants. I don't care.
Yeah, he can come on. I don't care. I never have argued with him. Of course, me and him have never like been at each other, but yeah, you guys
What
definitely
what
have.
the thing he's got to understand is he could face serious litigation if his videos ever catch wind to and starts causing problems for me over here where and I mean I don't think my company would ever call me about it, but
Right,
if people are calling my company and bugging and dude, I've got MRIs, I've got everything to prove everything. It's like they would be spinning their wheels and in turn he's got to be careful because if I chose to, he could face some serious litigation for not only defamation, but it's defamation along with something else if I was to incur any issues in having to discuss anything with my company, which I most likely wouldn't.
right,
But just saying that's not something you want to do.
right.
That's you don't want to go down a road like that. So
Especially in nowadays age, it seems like people make a bigger deal out of words than they ever have, like in the court of law. So yeah,
yeah,
I don't think I'd want to be attacking people as much, like what was going on
not
with you
smart.
guys. Yeah.
But it is what it is. I don't take huge offense to it, and it's everybody on YouTube they get a kick out of it. So whatever,
Oh yeah, yeah.
whatever.
That
I
excites
don't.
that excites the trolls. I get a couple of trolls on my channel. Usually it's Walmart hatred. Like Walmart's the most terrible place ever, and
And they probably got fired from Walmart.
yeah, and a lot of times it's something like that, or we have a lot of guys that worked there for many years, and they're just bitter because it's not the same place as it used to be. And I'll admit it. It is not the same place it used to be 17 years ago when I came here.
Nowhere is.
Yeah, nowhere. That's exactly what I was going to say. Every company is morphed into something, and we're still like some of the top paid truck drivers on as a company driver, and treated like gold with all these different schedules and everything. I couldn't say that it's gone down the drain, but I get a lot of these guys on here that just they're like, "Oh yeah, you're no better than Swift," or just name whatever they think is the word.
And this is, I think, where a lot of us can find unity because we're all fighting the same thing, union and non-union. We're fighting
Yeah,
the power.
right. Well, with Walmart, we're hauling our own freight. Walmart wants success. They don't want failure. And their success is selling in the store and getting people to come shop. So, I mean, trucking, that's just supplying that whole thing right there to keep success going on in the store. We really work for the stores in a sense. If we keep the freight flowing into the stores properly, then the plan that Walmart has to be successful, like they always have been for decade after decade after decade, it makes it possible. So, I mean, they, they're not gonna, we're not gonna become another Swift. That's basically what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, ABF has been in business now for they're going to go on 101 years.
Wow.
They never made that mistake of getting too big. They
Yeah.
make a lot of money through their UPAC division, and there's a lot of bread to be broken with us. You know, they've always been a Teamster company,
Yeah.
so I mean that's outstanding. They do believe in taking care of us,
Yeah.
but that's only because of the union. If they had their way, they no company would be union.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and if I lived in a bigger city, I probably would find a union job, but I've never liked living near places like LA, the Bay Area. It's just never been my thing. And we just don't have, I don't have union jobs around here. You know, as it stands now, I drive 155 miles one way to work. Of course, I'm gone all week long. So, I mean, it's a 300-mile round trip. For
It
me,
works out.
yeah, but it works out great because I'm off every other week, and it costs me like $70 to go to work and back. So I mean, no big deal. Don't bother me.
Solid. Hey Don, let's jump on another live stream again this week. Will you be able to do next week or this week?
Um, yeah, I could probably do next week, late next week or something like that. Sounds
I
good.
could do that. I could do that. We'll talk on the phone and and set it up.
Yeah,
Late would be cool too, for especially for me. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that'll work.
Well, I got to go back to work. What is it? This weekend, so it'll be like late into next week. But we'll talk
Okay.
about it. Sounds good. And
I'm gonna go ahead and hop off for now, okay, Don?
okay, sounds good. So, hey, thanks for joining me on here, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll get some more people on next time, and
And
yeah, it'll be
and so
cool.
everybody knows this is just an introduction to what Don and I have been discussing. We're
Yeah,
going to be talking to you guys about the Roman Empire. We're going to go into the economics of that. We're going to go into, dude, me and Don have been going deep.
it's gonna get
So
deep. Yes, it's.
we're just scratching the iceberg. Really good talking to you today, Don.
And when we say deep, we don't mean bring your boots. But all right, sounds good, man. Thanks, Mister By the Mile, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you, 20 plus.
All right, have a
You
good
all take
night.
care.
See ya.
Good night, brother.